देवदानव सिद्धाग पूजिता परमेश्वरी पुराणरूपा परमा परतंत्र विनाशिनी 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 देवदानव सिद्धाग पूजिता परमेश्वरी पुराणरूपा परमा परतंत्र विनाशिनी
All right, guys. Hello. Good evening. It's Terra Queen Jamila. Hello. How are y'all today? So, I wanted to come and speak to you guys about some recent spiritual experiences that I've been having. And last night, it was so intense. First of all, my name is High Priestess Jamila. And I'm a practitioner. I'm a spiritual practitioner. Okay. And since I've been born, I have manifested several different spiritual gifts. The older I get, the more intense. I don't even think it has anything to do with age, but I think especially since I use my spiritual gifts all the time, that things are getting a lot stronger and things are happening faster. Okay. So I've had a couple of levitation experiences, and I wasn't even trying to do it. Sometimes your spiritual gifts can show up when you least expect them, even when you're not looking for them. Okay. And so, what is levitation? Okay. I'm going to give you the textbook version of it, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about my experiences with it. Okay. So, levitation is the action of rising or causing something to rise and hover in the air, typically by means of magical powers. Okay. Um, from what I read about it early this morning, it's associated heavily with um, telekinesis. And spirit showed up these couple of times to show me that I actually have that gift. And I knew that I did, but it's been heavily, a lot of my spiritual gifts have been heavily oppressed since I was born, especially with a lot of us. I'm not going to get deep off into that. I just want to talk about the experiences that I've had so far. So, about a month or two ago, I can't remember if it's been 1 month or if it's been 2 months. And I was laying in bed, and I'm just going to have to tell y'all the entire story, okay? Because the entire story is relevant, okay? So I'll probably have to age restrict this one. So, um, I masturbate often, you know, and we'll talk about masturbation. Masturbation is actually very important, especially with the world that we're living in today, when you have these weird interdimensional beings that are trying to take sex out of the equation. They do a lot of hard work. It's not necessarily witchcraft, but it's other stuff that they're doing. But so I was laying there in bed, and I was already in an extremely relaxed state. And I thought I had fallen asleep because it's happening during lucid dreaming, is when it's happening. Okay. And it's like I'm awake, but then again, I'm not awake when these things are happening. And so I'm laying there in bed, and all of a sudden, without my control, I start to levitate. I start to feel, and a lot of people will say, well, that was an out of body experience, but, and that's what I thought that it was. But it's actually much deeper than that. It's actually levitation. And I'll talk to you guys about that. I'll give y'all all the details of that. But I was laying in the bed, and all of a sudden it it wasn't like when you're meditating and you can see yourself doing something. This was actually, it felt like my body, it felt like gravity didn't exist in that moment. So during this time, all of a sudden, I'm levitating. Okay. I feel all of the gravity leave the entire room. The only difference is that everything else around me was not levitating. It was just me. So it was almost like a magnetic pull. You know how, like, hold on, I got some magnets somewhere around here. I can't find them. But you know how, like, when you have one magnet and the other one just kind of pulls to it? That is what it was like. And it felt like I was being lifted upward. Hold on a minute, guys. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Okay, yeah, I'm back. So when I had the experience a couple of months ago, um, it felt like I couldn't control it. Like, and this is something that I think definitely happens when you start to discover more spiritual gifts. At first, when it starts happening to you, you can't really control it. So it literally felt like my entire being had been lifted up. And it wasn't near about as intense as the experience that I had last night. So for some reason, right after the experience, I started getting like this tapping in my lip. It was so weird. And so that actually passed, and I kind of wasn't really understanding what the hell was happening to me at that point. So last night the same thing happens. Okay. I masturbate, and then I'm just laying there, and I was laying on my left side, and then all of a sudden I'm light, like really really light, really really light. Okay. And I start to feel myself lift up, and this time I kind of allowed myself to go with it this time, instead of just like ignoring it or whatever, or trying to fight against it, because I was really fighting it the last time, because it was the first time that I had ever experienced anything like that. And it was not an out of body experiences. In fact, my spirit guides actually came to me and spoke to me about it last night. So I'm being lifted off of the bed, and I get lifted up like as high as the ceiling. And no, I do not smoke marijuana. I do not do any other type of drugs. I just drink wine. Okay. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, girl, you was just high off of something." No, I was not. Okay. I do not smoke. And one of the reasons why is because, to be honest with you, substances like marijuana can actually deter your spiritual gifts. So this was one of the reasons why I don't partake in those things anymore. Okay, at least not right now. But anyway, so it happened 3 or 4 times, to where it was like I was almost trying to fall asleep, but I kept, hey, hey, hey. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm getting interruptions. Thank you, Jules Lala. Thank you. So, to continue the story, it happens, and it feels a lot more intense than it did the first time that it happened. And so I'm feeling extremely light, and this time it was a lot more easier. Like it was almost like it just happened. And so I'm being lifted up, and it's like every single time that I did it, something in me was fighting it. So what I did was I kept like almost trying to wake myself up, but I was not asleep because I could hear the TV. I could hear everything else that was around me. I was not asleep when this happened. In fact, this was probably around 4 or 5 o'clock this morning. And so I actually ended up staying up a little while longer after that because the experience was so intense that I got extremely emotional about it. And, I could feel my spirit guides just around me. And y'all wouldn't believe what my spirit guides told me. I felt extremely special. Okay. That's sometimes what your spirits will do to you. They'll make you feel extremely special. But I'm not narcissistic with it. I'm not a liar. God knows that this is what I experienced. Okay. So I get lifted up, and I'm lifted, and then all of a sudden I'm floating, right? I'm floating, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I noticed that there was some spiritual gifts that seems to be coming out because I noticed that I've been having headaches lately, like these, it almost feels like sinus pressure, but I'll get like this weird headache. And I think that sometimes headaches are a sign of your spiritual gifts coming out because I haven't had a headache all day today at all. And so it happens 3 times. I levitate, and then I came back down. And then I levitated, and then I came back down. And then the third time, I began to sort of lose control. Like it was very scary for me. And I was like, okay, what is going on? Um, and because I began to float away from the bed towards my bedroom door. Now, when I had laid down, I had the bedroom door closed because, I don't really like for my cat to come in my room at night, because, I don't know. I don't like that because ain't no telling what, I just don't do that. I close my bedroom door so that my cat can't get in my room at night, and I lock it. And, all of a sudden the door is open. So it's so weird how when I was laying there, the door was closed, right? The door was closed. But then all of a sudden, while I was having this experience, the door was open. So I think the reason why I was seeing the door is being open is because something has definitely opened up inside of me that involves levitation. And it was a really, really good, I don't want to say definition of it, but the way that it was described, it was perfect. It was perfectly described when I read about it last night, because when it happened, I was like, oh my God, I am actually levitating. And to be honest with you, I think that this spiritual gift, if I were to practice at it, eventually I would actually be, because it felt like it was so real. It felt so real. It was so weird. Angel Destiny said, oh, Kitty wants to come in. So, levitation or transvection is the paranormal context, is the rising of a human body and other objects into the air by mystical means or meditation. Some parapsychology and religious believers interpret alleged instances of levitation as the result of supernatural action of psychic power or spiritual energy. So the third time that I levitate, I start to move away from the bed, towards the door that was open. And so I wake my, I kind of jolt myself. I'm like kind of shaking. And every single time I do this, it just kept happening. It kept happening. And the fourth time that it happened, I began to float out of the bedroom door. And then that's when I called my mother. It doesn't mean that it's my physical mother, but I got scared. Like when I realized that I was floating and that I was getting ready to float out of the bedroom door, because I just wanted to go to sleep, to be honest with you. And so that happened, and I call out. I say, "Mama, help me," is what I say, right? And so I'm back in the bed and I'm awake. And as I am, sort of coming back to my body, or either coming back into, this reality of gravity, because there was literally no gravity that was affecting my body. It was really, really so profound. But for some reason, I had that same strange tapping, but this time it was in my abdomen area. So I get up and I don't feel sick or anything. I feel fine. You know what I'm saying? I feel fine. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is the second time that this has happened to me. What is going on? So I asked my spirit guides, and they told me there was a couple of them that were coming to me saying that your powers are increasing. Um, and they were also talking to me about telekinesis and how my telekinetic powers are increasing, because I noticed that, all of a sudden when I do spell work, I mean, it literally manifests so freaking fast, but I was so scared, y'all. I was so scared. And I just immediately started crying, just immediately. And, of course, my spirit guides, because they've been with me since I was a baby. I've been having experiences like this. I felt like a baby again. You know what I'm saying? When you're confused and you just need your mother to like give you guidance or whatever. And so I do have a spiritual mother. And, she immediately came and consoled me. And she said, "Don't worry, your powers are just increasing. This is a power and a gift that you have of levitation, and you need to start using it." Okay. And I literally cried for like an hour. Literally cried for like an hour. And that was actually really important, because when hold on a minute, guys, hold on. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. What's up, Weeks family? Hello, how are you? So I laid there and I cried literally for an hour, and I was just up. I couldn't get back to sleep, or I couldn't go to sleep after that, because I was not asleep. This was not a dream. It wasn't. I was not dreaming, because I was not asleep. It could have been lucid dreaming more so. I'm sorry, guys. My grandchild is crying all of a sudden. I don't know why. So if y'all hear her crying in the background, she's upstairs with her mama. Okay. I'm not neglecting a baby or anything, because you know how people are. Oh, I heard a baby crying in the background. What's going on? So what my spirit guides explained to me is that because my pineal gland, or my third eye, had been so calcified for so long, that whenever you cry, this is your third eye opening up. So that's why I always tell people, when you need to cry, let it out. And I don't even care if it's something that that is scaring you or something that's hurting you. It's best to just let it out. And so last night I kind of realized, or early this morning, I realized that I was a freak. For this to even happen to me, I'm like, what the hell? And so, from what I was told, is that it's a part of my spiritual gift, and that I need to develop it more so. And that the reason why I was experiencing this is because this is a gift that I was naturally born with, that, I can ask the spirit guides for help with that. And the next time I have that experience, to kind of go with it, because I was actually going somewhere. I don't know where I was going, but I kept stopping myself from going there. And so the first thing that I asked, I said, was I dying? And they were like, no, you're not dying. You're just changing. Okay. You're just changing. And a lot of your spiritual gifts are coming out. And they wanted me to come and talk about it, but I had to get the other readings done for the channel. So I got those done. And I said I wanted to come and speak to y'all about spiritual gifts that can be extremely scary. So, like, for example, another one of my spiritual gifts is telepathy. Okay. And I also can read minds really, really good, like really good. Empaths often have that gift to where they can read minds, because I think that it is essential for our survival, so that we can kind of read people, like instantly, like people that we are around. If they're harmful, we can put up shields and stuff, because we know what they're thinking, and we don't necessarily want their energy to affect us. Okay. So it was really, really just so profound. And you know how, like in the movie The Craft, when they are like levitating and they're playing the game light as a feather, stiff as a board, or whatever. I've never done that or anything like that, but it's something similar that you can do. And see, I always, whenever I need to take care of business, I know how to astral travel. Okay, I know how to travel through the spirit realm. This was something totally different, because it felt physical. See, there's a difference between dreaming and then actually experiencing something that is it was actually a physical manifestation of me, like, levitating. It was really, really, like, it jacked my head up for a couple of hours this morning, because the last time I experienced it, it was more scary. It was scarier. More scary is not proper English, but it was scarier the last time that I experienced it. This time it wasn't so scary. And they definitely assured me, hold on guys, I'm going to jump off camera real quick. Spirit guides definitely assured me that I'm not dying, that I have many, many years left to me. And that's not why I was having that experience. But that more so, it's a spiritual gift that I have that is just now surfacing. And it is heavily related to telekinesis, from what I've been reading about it. Okay. Now, when I was little, I used to have all of these dreams of me flying. It was really weird. I used to have a reoccurring dream when I was a child that I was flying. But see, when you're a child and and you're around people that don't really have the spiritual knowledge that they should have, because a lot of our parents, a lot of the people that took care of us and caretakers, they were very ignorant to this stuff, and they were very afraid of this stuff because levitation, you know, the Christians, they relate that to something that is the power of the devil. Because, you know, you guys, in the movie The Exorcist, you could see little Linda Blair was, you know, levitating, you know, in that movie. So it's associated with something that's demonic, but it's actually, from what Spirit told me, is that it is a spiritual gift that does manifest within my magic, because I believe that if you are a practitioner that does have certain spiritual gifts, this is the reason why your spells will manifest, and they will manifest faster. And I remember years ago doing a breakup spell on somebody. Um, I did a breakup spell on somebody and another person. And it was crazy because that person ended up moving to another state. You know what I'm saying? And when I heard that this person had moved to another state, I was just like, wow. So, you know, literally, there's no boundary when it comes to magic. There's no boundary when it comes to your supernatural or your spiritual gifts. Experiencing that was one of the most scariest things that I've ever experienced. The next time it happens, I know that I won't be as scared because Spirit again has assured me that it's not dying. Because at first I thought, when I was floating, you know, in my mind, I was thinking, am I dying? That was the first thing that I thought, because we think of death as when your spirit leaves your body and then you're dead, right? But my spirit was floating, but I was still awake and experiencing this extreme level of consciousness to where I kind of knew what was, not kind of, I knew what was going on. So it was really a trip. I'll come back and let y'all know the next time I have this experience, but I am going to start doing more research on it. It's just, it's such a shame that there's no real guidance when it comes to this stuff. Like, we have to kind of learn as we go along, because people are not going to tell you the real. They're not. They're going to give you some kind of washed up version or watered down version of what it is that you're actually experiencing, which what I was experiencing was, it was a form of levitation, but my body was still in the bed, and this was not an out of body experience. I have had out of body experiences before. This was something totally different. Okay, it was something totally different, and it was the feeling that I got was that gravity did not exist in that moment. Now, I don't know if maybe you know, a lot of, now, just to let you guys know, science has actually proved levitation as being very real. Okay. So this is apparently a gift that spirits want me to develop and, you know, start to work with, because for you to be able to defy gravity is an amazing thing, in my opinion, because that is like, and you know, like I said, my spirit guys, they were just like, well, your powers, you know, are advancing. And then also a lot of the spiritual gifts that you've had since you were in your mother's womb were they're starting to come back, because I have gotten away from a lot of those energies that have been basically sort of holding me back. So I'm going to do more research on this particular subject and topic and come back and talk to you guys about it, like, periodically. Um, I thought that I had empathism pegged, or I thought that I had that figured out. I would have never thought that I had the ability to levitate. Like, it literally was so scary and shocking. And the feeling that I got was almost like if I were to be in outer space. If you were to be in outer space, because I always like, when you watch the videos of the astronauts that are supposed to be in space, and everything's floating around them. So, I don't know if anybody else was having that experience or have had that experience, but it was really, really profound. It really, really was. And so I think um, it's got something to do with the universe, because I felt like I was literally getting ready to float out into the middle of the universe. I literally felt that. And like I said, I was not high off of anything, because there's a lot of people, they'll drop acid, they'll take LSD, they'll take all kind of pills and drugs and smoke marijuana to get that experience. And for some reason, as soon as I stopped partaking in those things, a lot of my spiritual gifts just sort of appeared and surfaced. And so I'm not an expert on levitation. Eventually, I will become an expert on levitation as I do more research. And again, if you are somebody that knows about levitation, you're more than welcome to email me and give me some, pointers, or either I'll come to you to get a reading. Because, to be honest with you, it's really, really hard to find a good psychic reader. It really is. So if you're a psychic reader and you are an expert on spiritual gifts, I know that I am, but levitation is something that is very, very new to me. And it's really, really difficult to find somebody that is that knowledgeable about what it is about what the experience is and what it actually is. Because most people, when they speak about the supernatural, it's always scary. They're always scaring people. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what I'm trying to do. You see what I'm saying? But it was very scary for me. The second time it wasn't as scary, but the first time it was so bizarre that it was just really bizarre. So if you guys have any pointers, I would love to get a reading by a real shaman or a real psychic, because sometimes even the psychic needs to be psychic read. I need a psychic reading, y'all. I do. So contact me and let me know, what your pricing is, because I would love, love, love. And of course, I'm not going to come out unless you tell me. Everything that I do at Divine Services is confidential. And so unless you tell me, hey, you can tell your audience about me or whatever. But if you're somebody that just so happens to be watching and, you can be either on or off YouTube, I would love to speak to you about this, because I need a spirit guide. I do. I need to get an outside perspective. It's not that I can't read myself, because, I can read myself right now. You know what I'm saying? I can ask the spirits and my spirit guides what that experience was, but to be able to, actually speak to somebody that is an expert on this would be so amazing. It really would. I was going to throw the cards before I started talking about this, but I'll do it now. Spirit guides, what do you want me to know about what was going on with that situation? So yeah, this just happened last night. It was freaking insane. It was insane. Interesting. See, there it is. That's exactly what it was this particular card. So the Four of Swords is much more deeper than what people think that it is. Four of Swords is actually related to out of body experiences, meditation, possibly either levitation as well. Wow, that's crazy. Just some of the cards that I'm looking at. And then I said that my pineal gland is decalcifying itself. Like because, you know, I noticed that when somebody comes at you with a bunch of fear, it just instantly shuts down your spiritual gifts. So with the 7 of Swords and the 10 of Cups coming up, this lets me know that this is actually something that was passed down to me through my bloodline. Okay, even though everybody in my family, they kind of shy away from any kind of spiritual gifts because they have fear of it. So this is the reason why. And for some reason, I began to cry. 5 of Cups, 5 of Swords. This tells me that there was definitely a lot of things. And then also Spirit is telling me that the enemies that I have had, they are literally, I feel like I was elevated above a lot of the things that they were trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Which was essentially either stealing, blocking, um, either stealing or blocking my spiritual gifts. Which is so weird. So anyway, guys, I'll see y'all later. I just wanted to come and tell y'all about that real quick. All right. I'm going to do more research, like I said, and come back. But if you're somebody that is an expert on, you know, parapsychology or paranormal stuff or either spiritual gifts, I would love to get your input. My email address is queenjamila941@gmail.com. All right. And just to let you guys know, I'm running a flash sale right now. You're welcome, Eric. Just to let you guys know, I'm running a flash sale right now. All of my 30-minute readings are actually on sale for only $30 for 24 hours. And I'll come back and probably promo that again because with some of my live shows and some of the stuff that I'm doing, you have people that are sort of trying to hide me. I don't know why there's this obsession with, you know, trying to block me in some kind of way. It's so weird, but it is what it is. Okay. So if you guys need to reach me, the link is below, and I'll see y'all later. All right. Love and light and peace. Bye.